everyone is free to make their own decision. We're still going to be recruiting more support. We're working on that, but in the end, I stress that in the end, it's one person, one vote. So in the end, it's the people who will make the difference.
Trying to sound, I guess, he's not at all concerned. He lost today, Jean-François Roberge, as a potential supporter. He went to the side of Christine Frechette. James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, is Drainville a factor in this race, do you think?
I don't think there's going to be. I don't think so. I believe Madame Frechette's going to win. But, Aaron, I'm having a lot of difficulty reconciling this portrait in the making of Christine Frechette as some kind of new, progressive, kinder, gentler voice for the Coalition Avenir Québec. Bernard Drainville, who as a Péquiste cabinet minister introduced the Charter of Values, I get that. That's what he's about. I've heard that Madame Frechette, she left the PQ because she didn't like the whole idea of the Charter of Values. What part of the Charter of Values doesn't rhyme with Bill 21, which apparently Madame has no problem with? And how is it that Jean-François Roberge, the CAQ cabinet minister who said there's too much English being spoken in Montreal, decide to rally to Madame Frechette? Once again, as I've said before, will she be asked the same question? What does Monsieur Roberge see in Madame Frechette in terms of his political future? Is he going to maybe, have an epiphany, Aaron? Is he going to turn around and say, I was wrong about all that other stuff? I'm going to calm down. It's the same gang. It's the same bunch of threadbare, fear-mongering policies. And quite frankly, I think the biggest development in this so-called race is the fact that, my God help us, François Legault may not even be leaving. He may be stuck there because why? Because even though in his resignation speech he said, I'm doing this for the good of Quebec and, for the good of the party. And then someone goes, yeah, but you might lose out $300 grand. What are you talking about? Because that's the thing, right? Yeah. If he stays till the end of his term, he gets this transition payment because apparently you at the end of 8 years can go, I don't know how to do anything but be Premier of Quebec. And the problem is, a lot of people say you didn't exactly, break the bank with that job either, buddy. But the fact is, he could theoretically give up the leadership, just sit as a backbencher, as just a plain old MNA for Assomption. Never mind me, nothing to see here. I'm just waiting for my term to run out. You kids run along and have fun. Give me a break. What an absolute gong show this party is and has always been. But as I say, keep your eye on the bouncing support for this so-called leadership race and let me know if anything whatsoever, if one molecule of the divisive, xenophobic, Anglophobic, and quite frankly, populist in the most negative sense of that word, CAQ happens to change.
I'm always trying to figure out here. Are they trying to sell us a bill of goods with Christine Frechette? In other words, she's the economic expert.
Exactly.
She's worked yeah.
Exactly. This is exactly what is happening. Because on top of everything else, Madame Frechette these things don't happen in a vacuum. I don't think Roberge woke up this morning and said, I'm going to support Madame Frechette. Mm-hmm. And, then she'll find out about, no. I'm pretty sure calls were made. And she must have made the thing saying, because she should have said, Jean-François, nothing personal, but do me a favor. I'd just rather, you stayed neutral on this, okay? Because it's pretty blah, 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 blah. No, so listen, all I'm saying is I don't know what's going to happen in the months to come, Aaron, but I sure as hell know what happened in the past 8 years, and these guys are responsible for it, and I don't care what shade of gray in the CAQ spectrum you are, but let's face it, your record speaks for itself, and quite frankly, if Quebecers buy into your BS for a third time, they deserve whatever happens to them.
So let me bring up this other story. I just saw Marc Tanguay's tweet here. Wow, nice to see someone in the Liberal Party standing up and defending it, believe it or not, Mark Carney. He's now asking, what is it, the PQ for an apology?
Well, no. This is when Mr. Over-the-Top Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is giving a speech during the convention. And he suggests, he's quoting Gandhi, saying the worst kind of slave is someone who's a slave but doesn't know they're a slave, suggesting this is how Quebecers have been brainwashed into thinking they're free. Mm-hmm. So at this point now, Tanguay is turning around saying, excuse me, if you think Quebecers are slaves, say so up front. If you don't, apologize for that remark. And it's very interesting because on the one hand, the question poses itself, why isn't Charles Amiel doing this? Because he seems to be a leadership contender. Does he not have an opinion on this? But the fact that Tanguay spoke up, as far as I'm concerned, if nothing else, suggests that perhaps the Liberals are waking from their very, very deep hibernation, realizing that as far as big, fat political opportunity goes, you can't do better than PSPP. And going after this guy. You know, it's been so long, Aaron, that these people have been saying the most outrageous things and getting away with it. Maybe we're going to see the beginning of a time period where for a second there people will listen to what you have to say, no, hang on, back up. What did you just say and what the hell did you just mean? Because that's what's happening today. And I will be fascinated to see if Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon does in fact address this normally or turns around and basically calls Tanguay a colonized Quebecer who's obviously under the yoke of federal Canada.
Nice to see a little fight going on here in the provincial.
I love it.
I think it's great. It's been so quiet for so long. This is actually real. We'll see what happens. All right. The other thing I want to touch on today, for people who didn't hear it, the Mark Carney-Donald Trump situation seems to be getting more interesting by the day. So Trump reacted, of course, the other day, threatening 100% tariffs if Canada went ahead with the Chinese trade deal, or at least what he said was a free trade deal, which is not what we were doing to begin with. Then you had the U.S. Commerce, or whatever Scott Bessent's actual title is, Treasury Secretary, make the case that, in fact, we know now there'd been a phone call between Donald Trump and Mark Carney. My understanding, Jim, is Donald Trump called Mark Carney. And if you listen to Scott Bessent's explanation here, this is what happened.
I was in the Oval with the president today. He spoke to Prime Minister Carney, who was very aggressively walking back some of the unfortunate remarks he made at Davos. And Sean, I'm not sure what the Prime Minister was thinking. Of course, Canada depends on the U.S. There's much more north-south trade than there could ever be east-west trade. He talks about middle countries having to do their own thing.
Hey, Prime Minister Carney, did you walk back your remarks to Donald Trump in that phone call?
Scott Bessent says that you walked back your comments on Davos in a conversation with Mr. Trump. Is that the case, Prime Minister?
As I said, first off, the President called me yesterday. We had a very good conversation on a wide range of subjects, ranging from situation in Ukraine, Venezuela, Arctic security. We discussed as well what Canada is doing positively, and this is the context of our discussion, what Canada is doing positively to build new partnerships around the world. I explained to him our arrangement with China. I explained to him what we're doing, 12 new deals on 4 continents in 6 months. He was impressed. And what we intend to do going forward. As well as the opportunity to, of course, move forward on CUSMA. You will note that Minister LeBlanc had discussions with one of his counterparts in the last 36 hours about some of the modalities and things on the way forward. But to be absolutely clear, and I said this to the President, I meant what I said in Davos. It was clear it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, and we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad. We're responding positively by building at home, and we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA. He understood that, and it was a good conversation.
In other words, a long-winded diplomatic way to say, no, I didn't walk back anything I said. So, Jim, what do you think?
I think the 3 most important words in that entire statement are at the very beginning. He called me, which I find rather interesting because, quite frankly, if Donald Trump is angry about you, he's not going to staff the job out to one of his billionaire bootlickers like Scott Bessent. And I find it interesting as well that, there are about 9 things going on here right now, Aaron. Not the least of which is there's a suspicion in the States that Donald Trump is not in the best of health. Indeed, he's walking around with an ICU down the front of his pants. It may be a matter of time before we're talking about President Vance. But all that said, it really seems that Trump is under attack from all sides, internationally, domestically. This idea that Canada is pushing back, and I've said this on the show before, Canada, rightly or wrongly, and I think in spite of itself, is being perceived as the sharp point of the lance in resisting Donald Trump. And honestly, I between, who do I believe? Do I believe one of Trump's lickspittles, or do I believe the Prime Minister of Canada, who thus far has been on the money with everything? So, I think this is just another indicator that everything, and once again, this is the other problem, because everything Trump does gets normalized, even though there's nothing about Donald Trump that is competent or normal. But the fact is, I think we're getting to that precipice, and there's a lot of last-minute damage control that's occurring in the Oval Office, in the White House, and throughout the administration, because I think they know their days are numbered. So the idea of trying to undercut or undermine a voice in Canada that seems quite ready to push back at Donald Trump would seem to be job one, even though in the end it's clear, just by what we've been listening to, that this is an administration which is notable for nothing other than being a liar.
I will. To your point, Jim, I have to agree with you. I think the idea that it was Trump who made the phone call says everything you need to know about this particular situation, right? So, but you got to love the interpretation from one of his flunkies, right? Saying, coming out, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but, he went out of his way to apologize for what he had said. And
no.
I mean, really?
No,
that's what you're
really
trying to
not.
sell? So,
and I don't underestimate what I said about Trump's health. I think they're really worried.
Yeah.
The fact that Trump is not the one. Trump wasn't shy to call him Governor Carney. Trump was, if he had got a phone call and Carney was walking stuff back, do you not think you and I and everyone else would be reading about that on Truth Social right now?
Yeah, good point. All right, Jim, I thank you. By the way, we introduced a new segment on the show yesterday, right? Donald Trump, What I Meant to Say. I don't know if you heard it yesterday. Did I play that for you?
I haven't, no.
So yesterday it was over this idea that Canada's military, of course, basically worked in the back lines, didn't go to the front lines in Afghanistan, which was, of course, terrible. Today, I understand our new segment of Donald Trump, What I Meant to Say, is over this whole governor idea where he called Donald Trump governor. Is that right? Take a listen. Here it is.
I shouldn't have called you Prime Minister, Governor. That was a mistake. I was a little hangry and let my temper get the best of me. I apologize to Canada's Prime Minister, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. That is all. Signed, Donald J. Trump.
All right, so there you go, Jim. That's what he really meant to say. Now
well,
we
that's
know.
Pretty, yeah. I'm guessing that's actually AI. Trump,
what, Jim? What are you saying, Jim? Get a hold of yourself. Jim Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.